Hello, 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 everyone. Today's training, welcome back for our Thursday trainings. Today's training is going to be on how to create the life and love that you desire. And it's a three-step process. And I'm super psyched to be sharing this with you today. I share this with all of my VIP clients. And so I wanted to bring it into this group and share it with you. So I'm just waiting for a few people to hop on here. If you're here, oh, Claudia's already here. Hello, hello. Awesome. Perfect. So as you all are hopping on, you know the drill. If you are here with me, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a heart. Let me know that you're here. And if you're watching the replay, then go ahead and hashtag replay. Awesome. So last night, I actually talked with my Freedom Academy group members on this exact subject. And so I wanted to share just a short little tidbit with you all today on the three-step process to create the life and love that you desire. And so what that three-step process looks like, the very first step is, and I have used this with my clients, I've used this with myself, and this is so unbelievably crucial. We have to first decide what it is that we want. So often, and I'll give you some examples, so often we're saying that we want to leave this relationship or we are wanting to get into a relationship, but we haven't quite decided on that yet. And so we are sending mixed energy, mixed signals. If we're wanting to get out of the relationship, but we don't take any action, then we're sending mixed signals to the universe, to God, the higher power, and it doesn't know what to give back to us. So when we decide, this word is so powerful, and I'll tell you why. Side, in decide, side, the Latin word side means to kill off. And so that's why you say homicide, suicide, genocide. It means to kill off. And so when you decide, you are cutting off all other options. You're killing off all other options because you are deciding what it is that you want. If you're wanting to leave a relationship, that's it. You decide. You're not just wanting to leave. You're deciding to leave. You're not just wanting to get into a relationship. You're deciding to cut off all of the toxic people in order to get you into that healthy relationship that you're wanting, right? Because if you are deciding that you want a healthy relationship, but you're still involved with your toxic ex, that's sending mixed signals to the universe. That energetically closes you off. So when we decide, we are cutting out all other options, and making a decision is so, so powerful. That's why when you make a decision, like joining a group coaching program or going to therapy, when you decide to have a certain outcome, you already are half of the way there. And that's why people that make decisions, they make energetic commitments, their healing accelerates. And so that is the very, very first step, is deciding what we want. I remember a few years ago, I was trying to do a vision board, and that's supposed to be like a fun experience, fun event, right? And I was sitting out on my patio. My neighbor comes over and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm making a vision board." She's like, "Oh, that's so fun." I was like, "No, it's frustrating because I have no idea what I want. I had no idea what I want." So I didn't know where I wanted to live. I didn't know if I wanted to be in a relationship. I didn't know any of the things that I wanted. And so it was really, really hard for the universe to give them to me. And so through trial and error, I had to figure out what I wanted, and then decided that I was going to have that thing. So the second is envision and embody. So when we are envisioning ourselves having this experience, whether we're trying to get into a relationship, whether we are trying to leave a relationship, we have to envision it actually happening. So the wonderful thing about the brain, the mind, is that it doesn't actually know the difference between fantasy and reality. And so if you see it here, then it starts to manifest on the outside. What you create internally ends up being your external result. And so you want to envision yourself having this outcome, envision what it would be like to be in this healthy, loving relationship, what you guys would do together, what you would be doing on a Sunday afternoon. Would you be watching movies? Would you be cuddled up on the couch? Would you be going to an event together? I want you to envision yourself having this. And if you're wanting to leave a relationship, envision what your life would be like after you leave that relationship. So how would you feel? Would you feel empowered? Would you feel excited? Would you be spending more time with your friends? Would you be making more time for self-care? What would you be doing? And you want to envision that and really bring those feelings up in your body. So envisioning it, closing your eyes. Visualization is one of the key components that has gotten me to where I am today. It's gotten me to create a six-figure business. It's gotten me to have a healthy, loving relationship. It's gotten me to having the beautiful home that I live in. There are so many things that I envisioned and that I wrote down in my journal years ago. I said that I wanted to own a six-figure business by the time I was 26. And I literally wrote that down, and looking back at old journals and seeing what I wanted and how it's manifested into my life is really freaking cool. So I highly suggest that if you don't have a journal, then get one and start writing down the things that you want. And so really envisioning that and making those feelings come up in your body. That's how you're training your body to have these emotions. And when you feel it, it accelerates the process of it coming closer to you in the external world. And I know that that can be kind of strange if you're not familiar with neuroscience, things like that, but it's effective. It's really effective, and it's really, really cool to actually see it happening. And then the second part of that is embodying it. So embodying how you would feel. Would you feel excited? Would you feel confident? Would you feel loved? How would you feel? And start taking actions from that feeling. A lot of the times what we do is we're hoping and wishing and we're wanting this other outcome, but we're coming from a place of lack. Okay. And so when we're coming from a place of lack, we create more lack. This is the law of attraction, if you guys are familiar with this. And if not, I highly recommend the book, The Magic, the movie, The Secret. Very, very informative and super, super beneficial. Like, it's what actually got me into everything in the beginning, was watching the movie, The Secret. And so we have to actually embody this as if it's already happening. So if you feel like when you leave the toxic relationship that you're in, that you would be hanging out with your friends more, you'd be more excited, you'd feel more confident. You have to start embodying that now. You'd be walking with your shoulders back. You would feel like you already have the thing, right? And so when we feel like we already have the thing, the brain doesn't know the difference between if we have it or if we don't have it. And so it, again, brings that closer to you, which is really, really cool. And so if you are wanting to get into a relationship, you would embody those feelings of security, safety, love, butterflies, like buy yourself some flowers, and cultivate those feelings of if somebody else bought them for you. And the last step in this process is to detach from the outcome. So you're deciding what you want. You're cutting off all other choices, decisions. You are making that decision that this is what you want. You're cutting off all other options. Second is envisioning and embodying, bringing those feelings up in your body and actually acting as if it's already happening. And the third is to detach. Detachment, the art of detachment, is such an important part here, because if we do those two things, but we're coming from a needy, desperate space, and we're continuing to ask and ask and ask and want and want and want, we're sending out want energy. We're sending out lack mentality. And so then we'll, again, create more lack, and we'll be pushing the experience away. We're creating resistance when we push and force. And so how we detach is we decide what we want, we embody it, and then we let it go. We don't continue. Like, how I like to think of this is we We can think of it as a child. They're asking us for a toy. They're asking us for a toy. They're tapping us on their shoulder. They're like, mom, 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 I want this thing. I want this thing. I want this thing. Creating a lot of resistance and annoyance, right? And so the universe works in a similar way. When we detach and we stop asking, but we act as if it's already happening, and we just detach and go about our way, we literally get off the subject. That's when it comes closer to us. And so by getting off the subject, we're literally thinking and doing all other things that just make us happy, right? So we are spending that time with our friends. We are doing things that make us feel good. We're making decisions that make us feel good. We're just continuing to choose ourselves when we're practicing this art of detachment. We literally, have you guys noticed that every time you want something and then you try for this thing, it's not happening. And then once you get off the subject, it ends up happening, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship. I know for myself and even my clients, when I was just minding my own business, I got off the subject of like really wanting a relationship. Lo and behold, I got on a podcast, and the podcast host just happened to be somebody that I really, really clicked with. And so that formed our relationship. And then one of my clients that I posted about the other day, she manifested her move across the country. And I saw a picture of her and this man on her Instagram, and I had to message her and be like, hey, like, is that your new boyfriend? And she was like, I unexpectedly found my person. It's so important that we detach, because the universe doesn't like when we try to control. When we try to control, it takes all the fun and the excitement and the magic out of the experience. The universe loves to surprise us. And so if we just let it do its job, then we'll end up getting what we want. And so I wanted to be able to share this with you all today, just the art of detachment, the art of envisioning and visualizing and embodying and making decisions. They are all three, these crucial points. They do work if you work them. And so I encourage you, with whatever you feel like you are wanting, start making that decision now of what you want. What do I want? And get very clear on that. You can use all of the situations in your life that has brought you to this point. I like to say, like, every negative situation gets you closer to what you want, because you're getting more clear on what you don't want, right? And so if you're struggling knowing what you do want, ask yourself, what don't I want? Do I not want somebody that's abusive? Do I not want somebody that is toxic? Do I not want somebody who doesn't want commitment? And then you can start reversing that into, I want somebody that wants commitment. I want somebody that is spiritual and likes to meditate. I want somebody that will, has a, desire to grow. Start just getting very, very clear on what you want. And that's when the momentum starts to pick up. So I hope this was helpful for you all. I know it was a little shorter video than usual, but I want you all to just start putting this into practice. And if this is helpful for you, go ahead and drop it in the comments. What was your biggest takeaway? And let me know. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.